Yes, honey. Mhm. Ya, bisa kan?
Oke, kita mulai sekarang ya. We'll start now ya. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining the King's Education Workshop. Today the workshop will be how to get into Oxford and Cambridge. My name is Cindy. Jadi saya Cindy dari EduBridge. Kita banyak cabangnya. EduBridge itu Overseas Education Service. Jadi kita mewakili berbagai negara tujuan seperti US, UK, Swiss, dan masih banyak negara lainnya. Kita juga ada English program untuk persiapan IELTS dan juga Mandarin program. Nah, kebetulan saya adalah perwakilan EduBridge dari Jakarta, tapi kita masih punya cabang-cabang lainnya seperti Surabaya, kemudian Manado, Pontianak, Semarang. Nah, kalau di Jakarta sendiri kita juga ada 3, Kelapa Gading, Pondok Indah, dan Kebon Jeruk. Jadi, kalian bisa kontak kita di tempat-tempat terdekat kalian. Gitu. Nah, jadi EduBridge ini tuh punya servisnya, jasanya apa aja sih? Nah, jasa kita ini banyak ya. Jadi semuanya hampir mostly adalah free. Jadi kita mau konsultasi tentang jurusan karir, terus biasanya kita tuh mulai dari kalian, maksudnya lihat kalian punya dulu ya, kayak nilai, terus bakat dan kemampuan kalian seperti apa, passion kalian seperti apa, baru nanti kita bisa menentukan uni-uni yang pas buat kalian sesuai juga dengan budget kalian. Jadi kita bukan seperti kayak pasar gitu nawarin uni-uni dulu, tapi kita lebih mau ngelihat kalian gitu sebenarnya bagusnya di mana sih yang sesuai dengan kalian tuh apa. Nah, kalau misalkan kalian juga belum punya IELTS atau masih bingung, maksudnya Inggris aku tuh kemampuannya udah sejauh mana sih? Kita juga punya free trial IELTS. Nah, itu kalian bisa kontak konselor-konselor kalian yang sudah kontak dengan kalian, itu bisa minta, aku mau dong tes free gratis. Nah, itu bisa. Terus juga kalau misalkan negara-negara tertentu kita juga ada pendampingan. Nah, promo-promo kita juga banyak. Kita juga ada promo refund IELTS. Jadi kontak konselor kalian untuk mengetahui promo-promo lebih lanjut gitu. Oke, habis gini kita akan dilanjutkan oleh Cifoni. Nah, kebetulan Cifoni ini adalah perwakilan dari King's Indonesia. Jadi beliau akan menjelaskan bagaimana sih King's itu apa sih, dan juga dilanjutkan dengan speaker-speaker lainnya. Speaker King's-nya ada Mr. Paul, Miss Lucy, dan Mr. Melrose. Silakan Cifoni. Tiffany, can you unmute first?
Oh dear, been speaking for like a minute, not close.
Okay, it's okay.
Selamat sore semuanya, senang sekali bisa berada di sini ya di acara pada sore hari ini. Semoga kalian juga baik-baik aja, sehat-sehat selalu. Sebagai introduction, nama saya dengan Foni, saya adalah perwakilan dari King's Education. Sebetulnya aku itu base-nya di Jakarta, jadi kalau nanti sekiranya kalian mau ketemu secara langsung in person, kita bisa atur waktu di masa yang akan datang. Jadi King's itu apa? Kita adalah institusi pendidikan, kita punya program tuh di 2 negara, di UK dan juga di US. Tapi fokus kita untuk hari ini adalah lebih ke Inggris ya, jadi untuk program yang di UK. Nah, Posisi aku adalah untuk Regional Manager for Indonesia. So I look after King's work in Indonesia. Dan hari ini aku didampingi oleh tiga kolega aku. Yang pertama adalah Miss Lucy Catermolly, she's based in Brighton. And then we have Mr. Paul. Paul is our head of A-level programs at King's Oxford, and also Miss Melrose Fernandez, also at King's Oxford. Nah, tanpa membuang waktu lebih lanjut, karena kalian juga tentunya lebih tertarik ya untuk mendengar workshopnya, aku persilahkan kepada Lucy. So Lucy, you can start your presentation, and then Paul and Melrose can carry on.
Okay, thank you, Bonnie. And thank you everybody who's on the call. It's lovely to see there's a lot of us on the call today, so thank you for your time. I hope it will be useful. I'm just going to share my screen now so that you can see a presentation I've got for you today. So Bonnie, could you just tell me if you can see that okay?
Yes.
Super. Okay, well, as Ronnie said, I think, because my Indonesian is not perfect, I'm afraid. My name is Lucy, and I'm the Regional Director for King's for Southeast Asia, so that's obviously different countries around your region. And normally, I would probably be right now in Indonesia talking to you in person, but in this strange year we're living, I'm sitting in my living room. And talking to you from here, but thank you so much for your time. And today we're obviously going to be talking about going to a top university in the UK with a focus on Oxford and Cambridge, or Oxbridge, as we shorten it to. So before we start, I've got a quick little quiz for you. So students, I'm afraid agents and Bonnie, you are not allowed to answer. Students, any idea what these phrases refer to? Is anybody feeling brave enough to speak up?
Ayo, jangan malu-malu ya, supaya kita juga bisa interaktif. Jadinya kalau kalian mau jawab, bisa di-unmute sendiri-sendiri, atau kalau kalian malu-malu, silahkan type in aja answer-nya di chat box ya. Jadi tolong partisipasinya juga, supaya workshop hari ini bisa lebih interaktif.
I'm going to give you a little clue, guys. And if nobody dares, then I might allow somebody from EduBridge or even Bonnie to venture a guess.
Someone in the chat box has very bravely answered the Russell Group of the UK. It's Reynard Arthur.
Oh, Raina. Okay, thank you, Raina. Well, good guess. We'll move on to the Russell Group, actually, but just so you know, all of our universities in the UK have what's called a coat of arms, and they have a motto. So these two are actually for Cambridge and for Oxford. So quite different mottos, I would say. And I'm going to show you another three. Now, if anybody manages to get any of these right, then I'm awarding prizes today. So you would be awarded a week's worth of online academic study with King's. So if anybody's feeling brave, you don't have to speak, you can put it in the chat box. If anybody knows which universities these correspond to, the prize is yours.
Ayo dicoba, jangan malu-malu, nggak ada salahnya loh.
No. No guesses. Okay, it's quite a difficult one. So the first one here is Imperial College London, ranked in the top 10 in the world, actually. The second one is UCL, University College London. And the third one is St Andrews in Scotland, where Prince William and Princess Catherine both studied in 2005. So you can see here, I mean, these are literally the very top universities in the UK, most of which are in the top 20 globally. And so you can see by their mottos that their aspirations and their goals are very high. And we will see this as we go through the discussion today, that it's not an easy task to get to those universities. and only a very few of the world managed to do so. And we've got a few here. So these are some of Oxford and Cambridge's alumni. So that's ex-students. I reckon you'll probably recognise some of those faces. Again, if anybody's feeling competitive, if they manage to write down in the chat box every single one of these people, I'm willing to award another 1 week complimentary online study with Kings. I'm going to give you 10 seconds.
But they have to get all of the pictures correct to win the prize.
If you can get 4, you can get the prize.
Okay, it's half. Come on, guys, you can do it.
You can do it. I'm going to give you, no, I will give you slightly longer. I'll give you about 20 seconds just to give it a go. The first one should be pretty easy. And I think the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th one should be pretty easy. And I think the second one is probably the most beautiful on that slide. And maybe one you know as well.
Mm-hmm. Well done, you guys, for trying to answer.
Okay, well, I tell you what, if we're interacting, then I'm going to give you another 10 seconds. And then, Vonnie, at the end, you're going to have to judge if there is a winner, who is the winner, okay?
Okay.
3 more seconds, and I'm going to put the names.
Oh, Martin is trying to give them a hint. No, no, don't be cheeky.
Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time up.
No winner this time, unfortunately. No one got 4 out of 8, but a couple got 2 out of 8.
Okay, well, I tell you what, we've got more competitions coming up, so you just keep trying, and do feel free to speak if you want to, because it gets very lonely talking to a room full of people on my own. Okay, so what makes the top universities the top? I wonder what you think. Maybe you can put some things in the chat. Let's see what you think makes them top.
One has answered, they have high standards of education.
Good.
A second student said the same. Anyone else, guys? Well, anything else?
High standards of education. Yes, that's very important. Here are some ideas from our side. So yes, as you say, high standards of education are of course fundamental. That can be measured in many different ways. And you probably know that there are ranking tables throughout the world, but also specific to the UK, which measure different areas of universities in terms of lots of different things. But at the end of the day, I think the easiest way to think about it is that they will only select the best students globally. So when you're applying to these universities, you obviously have to remember that there are students from all over the world competing for very, very limited places. So it's absolutely vital that you're able to make yourself stand out. Okay, so let's have a look at some names. I think all of us know about those two. And somebody mentioned Russell Group earlier, which is great. So I'm glad you've heard of the Russell Group. So when you're thinking about your university progression and the university you want to go to, there are obviously, there's over 130 universities in the UK. And it's very important to look at rankings nationally, but also per subject. So whilst we're talking mainly about Oxford and Cambridge today, it's really important to make sure that you open your mind significantly enough and you do your research to make sure that you're looking at your subject rankings as well, not just thinking and focusing all your hopes on Oxford and Cambridge, because as we're going to see, they're not very easy to get into. So this is a slide just introducing you to some statistics, a little bit old, I'm afraid, because we don't always get all of this information published immediately across the academic world. But you can see here The first kind of coloured table shows, for example, for the University of Oxford, the kind of profile of student that applied. I think maybe you need to minimise the photo app if you want to see these, the category on the right. So, for example, applications to Oxford, for example, people who didn't have straight A's, 32% of their applications were those. And then you can see the progression of people who applied according to their results. So that's from potentially having B's and C's, and then right up to having straight A stars. And then if you go down to the table at the bottom where it says students admitted, you can see that it goes right up to 40% of students admitted to Oxford have 3 A stars at A level or better. So I guess the message here is that it's highly, highly competitive from an academic perspective, but then unfortunately, or fortunately, because I think it's very important for your future career and your life, is that it's not just about grades. So let's just have a think about what top universities are looking for. So I think it's pretty obvious we know they're looking for academic ability. Anybody have any ideas about what else? Come on, guys, don't cry. What else? Put it in the chat box.
Achievements. Raiden said achievements. Reynard said participation in extracurricular activities.
Fantastic.
Anybody else? Quality. Nabila wrote quality.
Quality, okay. Quality
okay.
of what?
Wasn't mentioned. And Kezia said the students' contributions, as in probably contribution to the community or something like that. Kenny said skills. Reynard added competition contributions. Samuel said entrepreneurship.
Fantastic.
And Raiden said determination, perseverance.
Well, guys, I tell you what, you've done better than I have. Well done.
Students' achievements.
Okay, well, I think we've tried to summarize this on this slide just into kind of 3 key areas, and a lot of those things you've said fit into number 3. And I guess, yeah, when you're saying contribution, I think exactly. I think it's very much about the contribution that you offer to the university and also your potential for the future. So one of the biggest questions is, how do you show universities that you have this? How do you have this? So we're going to have a quick look now. We're very lucky to have, I'm just going to introduce my colleagues, Paul and Melrose, who are with us from King's Oxford. I can see them on the camera, so it's very nice to have you with us, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you very well. Yeah, I'm going to talk through some slides, Paul and Melrose, but if you've got anything to add, please do feel free to jump in, because Paul has been helping students, well, Paul and Melrose, sorry, have been helping students from King's to get to Oxford, Cambridge, and a lot of those other top universities for many, many years. I'm just going to show you one of our students. This was actually the first student I met in Malaysia, in East Malaysia, when I first started working for King's many, many years ago. And I'm just going to show you some of her achievements here. So she won a place at UCL, which was her absolute dream university since she was very young, to do medical sciences and engineering. She took her A-levels actually at King's London, but we've got lots of examples from King's Oxford as well, where Paul and Melrose are. And she did fantastically well. She's a wonderful young woman, and I think an inspiration for all of you guys to keep trying. It involves a huge amount of hard work, dedication from you, and also help from us. So Lee Kian Lin wrote a lovely phrase there about King's and how they helped her. And we're just quickly going to watch a video of Timothy. Paul, is Timothy an Oxford student?
Timothy was ours indeed.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we're just going to watch. He was a character, was he?
Still is. He comes back to visit frequently.
Oh, that's lovely. Tell us a quick minute, Paul, about his past experience and his success.
Well, Tim is Russian. He came to us as a GCSE student. Immediately got 5 A's because we only do 5 subjects because it's so intensive. He then moved on to do A-levels. He was chairman of the student council, organizer of most of the social activities. And then in his second year with us, he concentrated really carefully, getting into Oxford. He got 4 A stars.
Wow.
And he's now doing civil engineering and comes back and talks to our students very frequently.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, and we made a little video of Tim at the University of Oxford. So we're just going to have a quick look at that. I hope.
It's something people dream of, you know, and when I found out that I got in, I couldn't believe that it actually happened for the first couple of hours. My name's Tim, I'm from Russia, and I'm doing engineering sciences at Oxford University, and this is my first year here. And I'm going to show you. See the rooms where all the students live, so this is kind of a residence for the first years. Social events there, and formal dinners. Oxford University proper inside. It's just the atmosphere of this place. It's so good, and when you walk past the buildings, when you just explore the labyrinth of this old university, it's just it's really nice. The library, one of the most famous libraries here in Oxford, is just across the road from my college. So we are walking to our engineering department right now. So now we're finally here. The building for engineering department is just right behind me. Very close to my college in particular. You can go hunting here. You can see beautiful nature. We have botanic gardens. The other students are nice. When we first met, I think we were all kind of shy because we all felt like, we're in Oxford now and we should probably behave very intelligent. It's just brilliant because, my dream came true.
And guys, isn't that an absolute lovely way to end the video? So thank you, Paul and Melrose. That's, one of your many successes. And it's just so lovely to see him so happy and so successful. Sharing a couple of other stories here. So students who've gone on to Cambridge and to Oxford as well. So that's a really nice story to think about and something to aspire to, guys on the call. And as we've said before, it is not easy to get into Oxford and Cambridge, but what we aim to do at King's obviously is really help you to reach the highest of your potential and get you to the right university for you. So just a very brief overview of what we do. So I think just to summarize why our system works. So as we can see, and as we'll hear from Paul and Melrose, we obviously know what universities are looking for. We've had years of experience in helping students get to their dream university. So having that support from our staff is absolutely vital. We have some fantastic teachers. I'm sure Paul and Melrose will happily attest to that and maybe mention us something about that in the future. A really important side of things is that we support every student individually. So no student is the same. We have to make sure that every student is supported and guided for their own individual plan. So you have a whole team of people who look after you and help you on your way to where you want to get. We ensure very small class sizes. That's really important for your learning progress, and I think very different to lots of schools in Indonesia where you may have 20, 30 or even more students in a class. We normally only have around 6 or 7 up to a maximum of around 12, so you get a very, very intensive and supportive atmosphere within your class. A total learning system. So again, Paul and Melrose are going to talk about this a little bit more in a minute. So it's not just obviously about the class, but it's about everything you need to do to get to university, which are some of the things we mentioned before, things like extracurricular activities, your UCAS process, counselling, personal statement writing. And that takes us on to number 6, which is the professional university guidance, which Melrose is going to talk about shortly. So I'm going to have to hurry up because I'm nearly out of time before I need to hand over to you guys, Paul and Melrose. So just a brief summary here. So we have 4 colleges in the UK, Brighton, which is where I am, which is about an hour away from London, on the south coast, very nice, very vibrant, very creative. We have a college in Bournemouth, which is a lovely seaside town with a great, great beach, 2 big universities. We have a school in London, in South London, so a lovely residential area of London, very safe, very easy to get to school from your accommodation. And then we have Oxford, which, we're just going to take a very quick tour around Oxford because obviously Paul and Melrose are there now. And then I'm going to hand over to you guys. So here we go. Let's have a look at Oxford. Okay, right, Paul and Melrose, I just had a brief summary of obviously the UK education system and our A-level programmes. Would you like me to talk through that, or Paul, potentially you might be even better at that?
What, the British education system?
Yeah, just briefly, and then maybe just a quick run through our A-level programme.
Okay. The essence of the British education system is to teach you to learn for yourself. One of the big differences that students from many parts of the world is that we do not tell you the answer, we tell you how to find the answer. And that's one of the really big issues that students have to face and conquer fairly rapidly. Up to we start at year 1, which is usually for junior schools, obviously. Year 7 starts at age 11, then students stay in a middle school roughly until they're what's called year 11, when they're 16. They do their 16-year exam results, which for you would be your transcript, your end of your diploma, and then move on to A-level, which is a 2-year course, pretty intensive. You only choose 3 or maybe 4 subjects to prepare you, in essence, to go on to university. A-levels are recognised everywhere in the world. We have students from here who go to Canada, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, Europe, just for their A-levels. They don't need to do any more because every university in the world will take you direct with A-levels. And we've had a lot of students doing that. Okay. I think they're being left on our own now.
Sorry, I'm still here, Paul. I do apologise.
I'm just wondering, are we being shown as terribly small, or are we being shown as a full screen?
We can. So if at the moment you're small, but I can stop sharing my screen in a moment so that
I've got a button here that says share screen. I'm just going to hit it and hope it works. Okay.
Okay.
No, that's not it. Okay. Well, we're going to have to stay small, I think. That's all
Well,
right.
I will stop sharing, Paul. If you and there you are. There you're nice and big now.
Okay. Lovely. All right. Right. Well, welcome to sunny Oxford. It's a very sunny autumn day. Sunny, but not terribly warm. Melrose and I work together. Our prime job is to get all our students to the university they want to go to, on the course they want to go to. And we're pretty successful. We're not a big college. We have about 100, 150 students in a normal year. Obviously, this isn't a normal year, but we've still got the vast majority of students who are not only with us, but also live. 60% of our students are here. We are doing what's called live streaming blended teaching to students all over the world, including Indonesia. So they are a part of the course, even if they're not in the classroom with us, really. I'd say we would rank ourselves as pretty successful, obviously. The last couple of years, from A level, we've had 85%, even more, of our students go to Russell Group or better universities throughout, or certainly throughout the UK and beyond the UK. And actually, at the moment, this webinar or this meeting is pretty relevant because we're just entering this year's students who are entering for either Oxford, Cambridge, or for medicine, because it's an early entry for all those students. They are entered for their university choices in October, whereas most universities, the entry is January still to come. And if I briefly run through the students we are at the moment we have, say, 36 students in A level. So we have about a third, maybe a quarter of our students are applying to do either medicine or go to Oxford and Cambridge. We have Ada from Turkey who wants to go to Oxford to do chemistry. We have both Joanna and Ava from Albania who want to go to Oxford to do medicine. That's the hardest of departments to get into. Whilst there are 155 places each year for medicine in Oxford, only 11 go from outside Europe. Then we have Haoyu from China who wants to do physics. Arkio again from Albania who wants to do computer science. Jeremy from France who wants to do maths. And Moeno from Japan who wants to do history, all at Oxford. Obviously, coming to King's Oxford, they feel will give them the incentive or a helpful boost, and that's our job, really. So if I take you through a sort of application process and talk to you about the standards, and Melrose will come in on her experience, because she's also the most experienced English teacher we have, probably certainly in this college, maybe in the company, for helping people to get the right kind of personal statement. First requirement is your standard before you come to us. I mean, I've just been speaking with 3 girls this morning, all of whom, the one who got the least scores back from her was 99%. She was very upset that she only got 99%. The other two all got 100%. They've both got 100% in everything. As one of them said, they were perfect but humble. But they did. They got 100% in everything. So really, your standard is very important, because if you're making an application, a university wants to know that you are consistently good and you have been good. And they understand you're an international student, and they understand that the transfer to the UK can be difficult. And therefore, they're looking at the fact that actually, we'll take that into account because we know you're a really good student normally. We then look at predicted grades. Most of our students get extremely good grades. As I said, last year, 85, 87% of students went to Russell Group or better. The average grade score was just over an A. Now that's the average. So there are lots of students who got lots of A stars, and some students who got Bs. And the occasional student got slightly less, but we don't talk about that. You then go on to a personal statement, which is extremely important, particularly. Do you want to talk about personal statement?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I think I'll start with talking about the EAP process, which is the English for Academic Studies purposes. Yes, thank you. Part of the course. Now, no matter what your language level is, if you're 7.5 in IELTS or an 8, you still have to have English lessons. And in our English lessons at King's, what we do is we generally improve your English, but we also provide you with the academic skills that you will need at university. So this includes writing extended essays and assignments, learning how to reference this work, which are all useful skills you will need at university. Giving presentations, again, we get our students in who've just come from high school, and they're quite shy, but gradually they develop the confidence by working with other students of a similar level and creating a nice harmonious atmosphere in the class. That they're more or less working towards a similar goal, and that's to go to either Oxford or Cambridge or the top Russell Group universities. So within a class, they're very supportive of each other. Tim in particular was in a class of very high achieving students, and they worked very well, had a very, very nice group dynamic. And more often than not, they don't see the fact that they're doing English as a drawback. They see it as an advantage because they can see that they're learning skills that will help them. And as well as these academic skills, we also try and give them other skills that Paul mentioned that are part of the learning process for a British education system, like thinking for themselves, making decisions for themselves, instead of us telling them what to do. So in the first 2 terms, we focus on those skills. Then in the 3rd term, we focus on UCAS preparation. And this is the 3rd term of A1. We do it gradually so that the students don't feel overwhelmed, because they're still in a position where they may have an idea of what they want to do, but we just have to guide them a bit more. So as Paul said, the personal statement is the most difficult thing to do. It's difficult for any student because it's probably the first time that they've thought of themselves in a way where they have to sell their skills and say why they're good at something, and they're not used to that. So we really, really break it down into manageable steps and do it over 4 weeks or longer, and sort of master the art of doing this. We provide the students with lots of examples and chances to get feedback on things, and then hope that they will do the homework over the summer and come back with a personal statement. Well, more often than not, that doesn't happen, but it is a work in progress. And we advise them, to get opinions from different people, but also to listen to the person's view, but decide in the end for themselves, because it is their personal statement. So we try to get them to analyze views, say, okay, I like what you're saying, but personally, I want to include this in my personal statement. Okay? To get them to be a bit more reflective and critical about things as well.
Melrose, could I just ask a question? So, like, when you write your personal statement, what are universities looking for you to show?
Well, it depends what you're studying. For the medics, we get them to focus on motivation, suitability, and exploration. Okay, so why they want to study it, what they've done to learn about medicine or dentistry or veterinary science, and then how they're suitable. That's the sort of formula that seems to work. Now, for the non-medical personal statements, the thing that all the universities say is passion for the subject. How do you show passion for the subject? And this is where the students, they find this difficult. So we go through this in great detail, breaking it down. How do you show passion? From reading, from exploring, from doing other courses, you know, and we get them to, we try and encourage them to see that it's not just what you do in class, it's what you do outside, which is more important, to show your interest in the subject. And then that's down to the student to do that. You know, we can encourage them and show them where there are lectures, courses, you know, where there's what the reading they can do, but it's up to them to do that. So passion is the most important, and then showing the skills that where you can draw out the skills from the experience you have had. So it's not really just the academic side, you know, I've studied this, I've got top grades in this, this, and this, because they can see that in your application. It's what you've learned from it and how that's motivated you to study and learn more, which shows passion and interest.
Fantastic. No, that's really useful. And and the application process, Melrose, so how does it work? Like, when does it start?
You want to do that bit? I'll do that bit.
Okay.
No?
We can share.
Yeah, we'll share. We'll share. I mean, basically, what we've done is we've gone through, as soon as you arrive, we are looking at and supporting and making sure that you are achieving your potential. And lots of data, but lots of personal contact. I mean, the essence is personal contact, really. Because a qualitative response is much better than a quantitative response. The vast majority of students who come here are highly motivated. The only area that we find we have problems is that no matter how early they may start school back home, 9 o'clock in the morning here in the UK is always difficult for them. That's our one problem. Even if they started at 6:30 back home in Shanghai or somewhere, 9 o'clock is always a problem. So we look at, I mean, as Nora says, we start from the word go, really. We are, I spent a lot of time in France, and we're different from many educational systems in the sense that we are not competitive. You do not get grades at the expense of somebody else. If you are deserving of a grade, you'll get it. Everybody will get it. If 100% of the students are really good, 100% of the students will get an A. So last year we had, I think, 28 students who entered for mathematics, 22 got at least an A. More than half got an A star. Now in France, there's a sort of cutoff. Only 10% are allowed to. So in France, you find that students are not cooperative, they are competitive. And that's not the same here. We want students to work together, and by working together, because they come from all over the world, they help each other. And the English is their avenue of support for each other, as well as with their teacher. So if I'd gone through it before then, so we talked about your standard at 16, we talked about getting predicted grades and the level of grades you require and expect. Melrose has gone through the importance of a personal statement. And all that leads really is what we're doing at the moment and have to do for a quarter of our students really by next Thursday, is write their references. In other words, why do we feel they are suitable to go to that university, on that course, and will they make a success of it in the future? Now, for most universities, that's it. That's what they want to know. They're really interested in the grades you're going to get. They're really interested in your personal statement. They're really interested that the school fully supports you. But for Oxford and Cambridge, things are slightly different, because many of those things don't really come into play until after you've done an aptitude test. And aptitude tests are their way, they see, of getting a level playing field. In other words, they have got something that's common, no matter what your background, no matter what country you come from, no matter what your ability is, that gives them a chance to see what you are like. Can you learn? What have you learned? And there are aptitude tests that are very, very variable. Yesterday, we had a professional training day for our students who were applying for medicine. And we get professionals in to help in quite a lot of ways, really. So often for medicine applications, but for things like interview skills and things as well. We have not just the teachers here helping you, but also professionals from outside the school. So if we were again to look back at the students who are applying this year, we have got 2 who have been doing a what's called a BMAT, a British Medical Aptitude Test. We've got 1 doing a physics aptitude test. We've got 2 doing a maths aptitude test. We've got 1 doing a history aptitude test, and they're all very, very different. But they are the basis upon which most Oxford departments and many Cambridge departments base their initial idea of you. They'll look at your aptitude tests and your aptitude test scores. They look at what you did at home, and this is the crucial bit, then they invite you for an interview, and all those other things come into play. Now, Lucy asked me to put 1 or 2 questions from aptitude tests on the screen, so I'm going to try and do that. Basically, you get 2 minutes to answer each one, okay?
I think
and you have an hour and a half normally to answer 50 of these. So I'm going to see if...
Is this one of the scariest moments for students when they have to go through this?
I personally find it one of the scariest moments for me when I open the paper and think, right, I'm walking out now, leaving it to you. We give training for these, as I say. I mean, I've spent most of the summer with a Japanese student who wants to do history aptitude, because I'm the historian. And they're not easy for anybody. And they're not meant to just show, ooh, what you know, because everybody taking it is extremely bright. They want to know what you can do in the future. Timothy, whom we've seen, who is there at University College in Oxford, got 55% in his physics aptitude test. And he came home totally distressed. I've never had such a low score in my life. But that was the intention. I mean, I'll read 1 or 2 quotes when we come to the interview, that actually they want you to be really worried because they want to know how you think. Not what you know, but how you think. I'm going to see if I can put 1 of these aptitude tests up. I've only got 2 or 3. If you want to have a go, 2 or 3. You've got 2.5 minutes. Lucy, you'll have to tell me if it comes up on the screen, okay?
Yeah, if you click share screen in the middle, it should work.
Yeah, I've done that. So let's start with an easy one. Can you see it?
Okay. Yep, that's working. Just 1 second.
There you go. So you've got to decide. I'll just go down the size a wee bit. You've got to decide which of those shapes will come is not a possible view of the see-through block. And you've got 2 minutes.
So, guys, can you type in the answers?
I copied it from the answer sheet. But I may have lost it on the way here.
Well, don't you worry, Paul. We can let them know afterwards. If anybody gets it right, we're also having a little bit of a competition and prize-winning day. So,
okay. I've got the answer, so maybe I can tell you afterwards, and you can give the prize.
Okay, students have started answering.
Okay.
Well, let's Paul. Let's give them a minute.
Yeah.
And see if we get some. Oh, we've got lots of different answers actually. Ooh.
Remember, it's a see-through block. It's transparent. It's not solid. Made from glass.
Oh, we got lots of responses.
Melrose is struggling.
I'm also a historian, Paul, and my father is a scientist, and I managed to fail science from the very beginning of my academic career. So I don't think I'll be getting the right answer.
I don't think you have to worry about that. There used to be, to get into university for scientists, they had to pass an English test.
Right.
So few passed it, they got rid of it.
Okay, we've got loads of answers. So guys, I'm going to give you a countdown of 5, and then Paul's going to tell us the answer. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
E.
Ooh.
Now, let's go to the next one, shall we?
Okay.
Hang on. Oh, here we go. I'm going to put one up that is very verbal, and these are the areas where many international students struggle. It's because it's a different way of thinking than they're used to. So you read the paragraph, and then you've got to decide which of these best expresses the main conclusion of the argument above. These take longer. These take longer. Sorry?
We can't see it at the moment, Paul.
You can't see it.
No.
Is it not sharing?
Well, we can still see the block.
Oh, are you? Hang on then. Let me stop share a minute. Let me start share again and try that. How's that?
Yes, that's better. Yeah.
I've got to obviously stop and then start again between each one.
Yeah.
Could you just repeat what the question was then? So what do they need to do?
Well, the question said, which of the following best illustrates the principle underlying the argument above? So it's about motorists paying tax. Which of those statements, A to E, actually relate to the explains the paragraph? This is where most international students start to come adrift.
Oh, guys. Okay. So let's read through that together, and let's have another competition, I say. So I'll be quiet just for a minute and let you think. And if you want to have a guess or an opinion, you could also potentially win my special prize.
So do they have 2 minutes also?
They get 2 minutes.
But today, just because we're being very strict, Vonnie, they get 1 minute.
Oh.
Oof. Oh,
50%
that is
cut.
very strong.
I'm
Basically,
very...
50 questions in 90 minutes.
Oh, blimey. Yes, that sounds like a tough task.
Paul, when we have got over the entire sample test, can we possibly go back to question number 1? A student was asking the logic behind the answer E.
Right. You're asking me as a historian to explain the logic behind a non-verbal. I can have a go.
Well, or Paul, what we could do, I think what we could do, because it will be interesting, and I was hoping to do this, is we can send on some information afterwards.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe the actual response, the correct response, and why.
It's always you have. If you go on the website for Oxford aptitude tests, you will find lots of examples, and it's always worth an evening with some very bright students sitting down as a group and working through the whole paper. But it will take you a lot more than an hour and a half if you're working through with a group.
Okay, a student has started answering.
Basically, what you have to do, you have to understand what is the essence of the paragraph. Yeah? And basically, the essence of the paragraph here is saying that why should everybody who drives pay exactly the same, even if they hardly drive at all? So if somebody is out driving a lot, they're paying the same as somebody who's driving a very little. So which of those statements best relates to that kind of concept? The less you use it, the less you pay. So which of those, A, B, C, D, or E?
Right, we've had some votes, Paul, so I think we're going to do another countdown. And guys, 5 seconds, and then we're going to give you the answer. So that's 5, 4, 3, 2, ooh, there's a popular one, 1, stop.
What's the
Please give us
popular
the
one?
answer.
What's the popular one?
B.
People who travel to area should pay a lower fare than those who travel. No. D. By subscription, the less you pay. Yeah. Only if you watch it should you pay.
Ah.
Let's try one more. Another visual one, or a maths one maybe. Maths one?
So the second sample question, the way that international students answered them, it really depends on the cultural, upbringing and background.
It's a cultural issue. This is one of the biggest steps students have to overcome. I mean, we often ask, well, why can't we just be online? Why can't we stay at home and follow the course? And it really is, it's a cultural issue. It's an understanding that this is how the education works here. This is how the thinking works here. This is what happens in every lesson that happens when you come here. Very frequently, I will receive students coming into my office saying, nobody teaches me anything in this college. How do you mean? Well, nobody tells me the answer. No, I'm afraid the whole emphasis here is that we are teaching you the skills to find the answer yourself and work on it. And that's very much a cultural issue. It is not just a, every student who applies to Oxford is extremely bright, otherwise they wouldn't be applying to Oxford. But it is more than just how bright you are. So the aptitude tests, which I say you can go online and look up, really are an issue for many. Oxford has about 22% of students who are international. But within that, it includes things like American and Canadian and Australian. So they're used to an Anglophile educational system. And therefore, it doesn't reflect fairly. If you went to, say, LSE, something like 80% of the students are international because they are looking at A-level or international baccalaureate or European baccalaureate or whatever else it may type qualifications. Oxford is a cultural experience and demands a cultural approach. So does Cambridge. Both of them require that. All right?
And
sorry?
Paul, yeah, just a quick comment. I think having traveled quite a lot in Indonesia and Southeast Asia, I think it's really important to highlight what Paul just said, that obviously education systems are very different around the world. And I think this is definitely one of the areas where our students from Southeast Asia struggle, because the system is very different in the UK. And that's why so many students do choose to come and do their pre-university studies in the UK to start to learn these techniques and tricks and methods of learning, because it's very, very hard for you to not necessarily learn that back home. And so coming over to do your prep ready for university gives you such a better chance of getting into these top universities with the help and just getting used to how things work in the UK. So thank you, Paul. That's a really useful explanation.
I mean, we have an increasing number of students coming from Malaysia and Indonesia.
Yeah.
I taught in Nisa last year. Apparently, Putri is a fairly common aspect of Indonesian names. We have another little princess, or two princesses this year. And Anissa really was a very outgoing and very determined young woman. I mean, both Melrose and I taught her. She actually she tried to get a place at Oxford, but found that these tests were not her culture because they come after only a year. For many, things like maths and physics are, if you like, more direct and more the kind of thing they're more used to. The two students we have got who are applying for medicine, again, it's mainly scientific, much of it, but they have taken on extra A-levels in things like physics to make sure they're aware of it, as well as biology, chemistry, maths, their English, they're doing physics as well, because that's what they support. So in many ways, the scientific approach is a little easier. It is when it comes to the use of language and understanding of questioning and culture. I spend a lot of time with my history sets on the word of nuance, and a nuance is an understanding of how different things are being asked to be answered in different ways. Anissa gained a place at St Andrews. She left here with 3 A stars and 1A.
Wow.
She turned it down. And as a Scot, I was outraged. This is the third best university in the UK. We had 2 students who turned to St Andrews down. They got a place. One decided to go to Manchester instead. She was Taiwanese to do psychology. Anissa joined 5 other of our students, because we had 6 last year who went to UCL, which is a very popular university amongst our A-level students, as you've already seen. But yes, it's a cultural matter. And once you've got through those cultural issues of the aptitude, and we spend a lot of time with students doing them. And again, as I said, it's not a question of getting it all right. It's a question of the university will begin to see how you think and the way you think. And if they like that, and they like what you did at the age of 16, which is their basic 2 things, then everything else comes into play for Oxford and Cambridge. Then you go out, then you're invited for an interview. And the interview is another thing that people think, oh, but actually the interview for both is really like being in a classroom, like our classrooms. The idea is that the person who will interview you, at least one of them, is the person who will be your tutor or your teacher on your major. And they want to know, they want to spend 3 years or 4 years teaching you. They want to know that you have the aptitude to come back, to have an argument, to have a discussion, to understand the nuances. So that we put a lot of into interview skills as well, but they tend to come into play. Interviews take place in December. The results come out in early January. I always worry at this time because I try and get it into the thinking of our students that Oxford and Cambridge are fantastic, but they're not the end of the world. They are a huge stepping stone to the next step. And if you are concentrating only on, oh, I want to go to Oxford, rather than that, I want to become a doctor, and I think Oxford is the best place to make me into the best doctor I can be, then you cope with it better. You cope with it better that, it's a stepping stone, it's a fantastic stepping stone, but it is a stepping stone to what I want to do in life. And those who understand that take, if you like, and there are knocks of rejection, they take it better. The vast majority of students who may not get into Oxford will go to Imperial, LSE, St Andrews, UCL from here. Those are the 4 favourite universities for A-level students who don't get into Oxford and Cambridge. And universities like Imperial think they're better than Oxford and Cambridge. St Andrews certainly thinks it's better than Oxford and Cambridge, and is very competitive. So they're all very, very top universities. And the interviews, as I say, aren't as frightening. Oxford asks you to come for 3 days, even if you're here in King's. So you get used to the atmosphere in Oxford, the way Oxford thinks, the way it acts. And the interview depends upon the person who's interviewing you. Some will give you a stimulus to read first and then talk you through it. Some will look at your personal statement and talk you through it. Some of you will throw a question at you and see how it went. 3 years ago, Summer went to Cambridge for economics, and she had 2 interviews, and she came back in utter tears. She was distraught. The second interview went fine. The first, she didn't understand the thing they were saying. She got a place at Gonville and Keys, because why she didn't understand the question, she talked to them and she worked out the simple processes of learning. That is all they wanted to know. They wanted to know they had a student in front of them who could get better, because these are the best universities in the world. They always get fantastic youngsters, but they want youngsters who will push the boundaries as they grow older. So they are special. They are different. Okay?
And what kinds of questions do you get asked in the interview, would you say, Paul?
Everybody asks that, and literally they're always very, very, it depends on the person. A lot of students will say, oh, I'm going to apply to computer science at Oxford. I've got an interview, fantastic. Then they'll go and research which are the scientists working in computer science in Oxford. And they'll look at what they're doing and what their specialism is. And they'll somehow throw that in. And if they're sensible, they'll throw, oh, this is really fascinating, I need to know more. If they're not sensible, they'll say, oh, I read your book and I understood it. And then they may be struggling after that. But no, it varies. Literally it varies. There are plenty of videos, again, on the internet showing different kinds of interviews. For my history students, there's one that goes for 15 minutes, and it shows you that the student who doesn't answer, who's closed, or hasn't got a thought, who doesn't start from the basics. The essence of good responses in an interview is, if you don't know the answer, remember this is a teacher you're talking to, and the teachers want you to succeed, so you talk to each other. The essence is talking and understanding you don't know it all. Nobody knows it all. They want to know that you can just get better. And really, so that's why language and culture become important again, because, within the educational system, within the classrooms here in Oxford, that's what we do. Melrose will spend lots of time on students presenting their work, on explaining their work, on reflecting on their work, and that's what will succeed in an interview.
Paul,
Yeah.
Sorry to jump in. I received a request for a mock interview, just, for fun, so that students wake up.
Yeah.
Would you be happy to have a volunteer, and then we just do like a mock interview, a very quick one?
When are you thinking of? Now?
No.
Really?
Well, maybe funny. Maybe we could literally just ask, if we have a volunteer. I've got a couple of questions here actually that I took from I think it was an Oxford interview. Maybe if we have a volunteer, we can ask the question and see what response we get.
I mean, I've got a few questions here as well on science and economics, depending what the subject is. You see, this is the issue.
Come on, guys.
Okay, then great, Paul. Yeah. So, who would like to volunteer?
Subject. What's the subject?
Right, we've got
Raiden and Reynard. So probably one each. Raiden first.
Which are your subjects, Raiden? What's your preferred subject? You can maybe designing. Oh, so art and design. Anything from art and design, Paul?
Ooh, well, as in from Ruskin College? I don't think I've got any from art and design from Ruskin College. Let me have a look. No.
Oh,
I haven't got the art and design. I didn't look at art and design. We have had a student go to do fine art at Ruskin College, and she took me through her presentation, and I was none the wiser by the end.
How about chemical engineering?
Engineering. Well, hang on, here we go. Chemical. Well, I've got a. This is a question asked to anybody going to do chemistry, and even though the idea is it's not meant to be chemistry. Okay. So why is? Nobody expected me to do this.
Sorry, Paul.
I had a nice one about urine content.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. Whilst you're looking for that, Paul, I've just let hang on a sec, Raiden. Raiden,
You ready?
Oh, okay.
Why is sugar in your urine a good indicator that you might have diabetes? Now that's asked to chemists, not doctors. Am I leaving that with you?
Yeah, guys, I think if so, there's the question. That's for Kenny. Kenny, if you want to submit to EduBridge, we will. Yes, we've got international business management. Yes, we'd like a business one.
It's a very simple business one. Do bankers deserve the pay they receive? Is a very common question. Mm-hmm. Do bankers deserve the pay they receive?
So, guys, we've also got mechanical engineering, medicine, English.
You had a medicine one then. About 1 in 4 deaths in the UK is due to some form of cancer. Yet in the Philippines, the figure is only around 1 in 10. What factors might underlie this difference? And that's, that's a question as you sit there, and you may not know the answer, but the essence is, how do I work with my interviewer to get that kind of, to get to an answer? It's a process. This is going to be your tutor.
And the final one, Paul, is English, Lit and Language. Have you got anything from English?
English, Lit. Did I volunteer to do this?
Sorry, Paul. This is my fault. I do apologise.
That's okay. I don't know at the moment. Let me have a look. Maths, philosophy.
Well, philosophy might be a good one for that.
Okay.
Or physics. We've also got a physics request.
This is one that's often asked for philosophy, which actually would be good for you, Lucy, because you're a classicist.
Oh dear.
Can archaeology prove or disprove the Holy Book?
Ooh.
Now, so you're sitting there and somebody suddenly asks you that question. What do you think?
Oh my goodness.
Archaeology prove or philosophy. Philosophy. What exactly do you think is involved in blaming someone? All right. Experimental psychology. A large study appears to show that older siblings consistently score higher than younger siblings on IQ tests. Why would this be? So your older brother and sister will do better than you. Why is that? There's a few.
Well, Paul, that's fantastic. And guys, on the chat box, I've actually shared some of those questions that Paul's just said. So again, in our spirit of interaction, if you want to give those answers a go, not right now, but if you want to send those into EduBridge, any responses that we think are really, really leading or very good, I will respond back with one of my special prizes.
There was a question there about A stars.
Yeah.
What did it say? We don't get the whole question, you see.
Why does a few A stars applicants apply to Oxford, but the majority got admitted? Kenny?
I'm not quite sure what that means. Oxford rarely asks for A stars. It may ask for 1, very occasionally 2. Places like Imperial will ask for 2 or 3, because as I say, it's not just that area. It's when you get to your interview, and you're the kind of student they know they can develop, that they think that they can work with. So if you went to do law or history at Oxford, the actual grades are AAA. If you went to do law at LSE, it would be A star, A star A. If you went to do history at Durham, it would be A star, A star A. Because Oxford, obviously, if they think you're good at an interview, they know you're the kind of student they want, and therefore they want you with 3 A's. Yeah?
Yeah.
Because it's not just what you get at A level that matters.
And I think, Kenny, in answer to your question, I think that slide, I'll share this presentation with you all, but the slide that you saw where you saw the applicants and then the admitted students, it's basically because there's probably 15,000 applicants. It then reduces down to a very small number. And obviously the percentage that goes up to 40% of A-star students will get bigger. So that was about 40% of students had A-stars. But as Paul says, that is not a prerequisite. So you still can get to Oxford with A's.
Yeah, I mean, Tim got to Oxford with 4 A-stars. We have sort of express streams here as well. So 2 of those A-stars, one was in his own language, Russian, which is fine. I mean, we have Indonesian and Malaysian students who sometimes, because their background is perhaps Chinese, do an A-level in Chinese, which the universities take into account because they're Indonesian or Malaysian. But they also do maths, and they get an A-star in maths. And then in his second year, he concentrated on the other 2 A-stars, and Oxford were very happy. They didn't want 4 A-stars. They wanted 1 A-star, 2 A's. But he wanted to apply for Imperial as his second choice. So Imperial insisted that they wanted 2 A-stars A, and they wouldn't accept the 2 A-stars he got in his first year. So Tim, on his own, did a 3rd A-level, just in case he ended up with Imperial. So actually, Tim's actual results were A-star, 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 D. But he got the 3 A-levels. He got into Oxford anyway. He'd done it all right?
Well, and he's such a fantastic example of
biology, which was nothing in his area, really.
So, guys, do we have any other questions? Because we've got to 11:15 now. So I've got a little bit more information for you. We talked about potentially introducing a bit of information about the EPQ. I also wanted to mention to you briefly about how we are handling the whole situation with COVID-19 and safety measures. Obviously, Melrose and Paul are there in the school in Oxford. We're absolutely delighted to have you travel safely to us. We're wearing masks, as Paul is showing. We've got lots of...
Only 3 allowed in the classroom here.
Yeah, so we've got lots of measures in place to ensure your safety. I've just had a question from Reynard. Do we have to unmute ourselves to answer the interviewers' questions? No, Reynard, don't worry. I think what I'd like you to do is if you can submit your answers to EduBridge, so I think you should have the contact of the agent. Anybody who wants to answer any of those questions, please submit them in writing, and we'll have a good old look at them and decide who we might want to award a prize to.
What is the prize again, Lucy?
Depending on the quality of the answer, it will be between 1 or 2 weeks online study with King's, so joining one of our smart classes. So we're doing some teaching online. Obviously, we're teaching our A-level program and other programs online as a kind of a combined or blended approach in some cases, but we have specific academic preparation online classes which we'll be running later this year, so we can offer that to students if they give us a really good answer. So guys, does anybody else have any questions for Paul and Melrose before we let them get back to their, I'm sure, very busy day looking after the rest of our students in Oxford? No?
Okay.
Well, Paul and Melrose, thank you so much. That was really, really informative. Really appreciate your time. And let's hope we've had between 45 and 60 attendees on this call. So very much hoping that some of you might decide to choose King's Oxford and meet Paul and Melrose in person, maybe next January, next September.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank
Bye.
you so much, Paul.
Thank you.
Bye. And Melrose.
You.
Right.
So, sorry, Lucy. So what I may do is to send EduBridge later on about the questions in the different subject areas, and then they can send it to the students. And if the student wants to answer, then they can do that in writing. We will give them a deadline. Is that okay? Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, well, so just briefly, I think we're running a little bit out of time, so I'll just finish off, if you don't mind. If we haven't got any other questions, I'm just going to share my screen. We did say that we'd just do a quick overview of what the EPQ is. So this is what's called the Extended Project Qualification. I think it's not as well known abroad as it is now in the UK. So this is something you can do alongside your A-levels, which has what is called a UCAS tariff point or points. So this is an additional qualification that you can take together with your A-levels, which we offer at King's. And it's an opportunity to do a research project, which is not linked to your curriculum for A-level, but it's an area that you are really passionate about or interested in. So as Paul has said, showing that you've read around the subject, that you've got a real passion for what you want to study in the future is really important. And it also gives you the opportunity to study independently. So that's something that's an addition that you can add to your package when you're applying to university. I had a quick video, but I'm going to skip through that quickly because we haven't got quite enough time to do that. But this is just a statement from one of our students, Boris, who said he thought it was one of the most useful things that he did during his time at King's. But yeah, you can read lots about that online, so do have a read. We encourage students who want to take it. It's not mandatory, but something to add to your portfolio. So guys, I'm just going to skip very quickly through. In fact, I'm just going to have to, I do apologise. I'm just going to skip down to Melrose has obviously talked us through most of the points around application to university, but I just wanted to highlight what we're doing based on the current situation in the world. Obviously, we are in the middle of the pandemic, sadly, at the moment, but we have lots of students who have been brave, been very safe, been courageous and not put their educational plans on hold, who have travelled to the UK. We've got an enormous amount of policies and procedures in place to make sure that everybody is kept safe at the schools. So there's lots of different areas around this when you arrive, quarantine measures that we put into place, the care that we will take around when you arrive and maybe having to isolate, looking after you during that period, the hygiene practices in our schools, food and catering. So when students, for example, have to self-isolate or quarantine, we will obviously deliver meals as needed. And then during your time at the school, we will offer support and counselling services and obviously medical help if you do need it. But so far, so good. So we've all of our students have kept very safe so far, no problems. And I'm just going to, I think to end, just show you a quick video of our school in Brighton, which is where I am, a lovely seaside city. I'm lucky enough to be sitting looking at a beautiful blue sea and blue sky. And so I'm just going to show you a quick video of our school in Brighton. Okay, I think that's probably it from our side. Bonnie?
Thank you so much, Lucy. When shall we set the deadline to submit the answers? I will email EduBridge tomorrow with the interview questions. Shall we give them mid next week, like Wednesday next week?
Well, bearing in mind you normally get 2 minutes, I think we should say by Monday.
By Monday, okay. Then students have the whole weekend to work on it. Consider yourself lucky, because normally you would only have 2 minutes for the interview. And in regards to the smart class, because the agent was asking what kind of smart class would that be, the essential English?
Well, no, I think the most suitable will be our intensive academic program. So we're currently running, or we will be running soon, we were running it before our September intake, is the intensive academic program, which is basically an introduction to A-level and academic study here in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be restarting that just fairly soon in preparation for our A-level and foundation intake in January. So guys, even if you don't answer the question or you don't win the prize, it's also something, it's a very, very cost-effective way of trying out A-level study and academic study in the UK. So it's a very reasonable price. You can join us for a week, for 2 weeks, just to see what things are like. And then hopefully that will help you to understand and to make your decision maybe to come in January. We're also going to be offering our A-level and foundation programs starting in April this year, which we don't normally do in case lots of school systems have got a little bit delayed with COVID. So we have a January and April and a September start for A-levels and foundation.
Super.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, everybody. It's really lovely to see how many of you are still on the call. I hope that was useful. Paul and Melrose are fantastic. We've got teams like them in all of our schools. So we've got the 4 different schools. We offer the same courses in all of those different schools. It's really just about what kind of environment or city you want to live in, whether it's London because you're from Jakarta and you like a big city, or whether it's Brighton, you want to be by the sea, or Oxford, obviously, as we've seen, is just one of the most beautiful cities in the UK, very historical and very academic. So we're looking forward to welcoming you in the future. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lucy, and the EduBridge team and the students. So it is the end of the program. Shall we all sign out?
Yeah, have a good
Sure.
have a
Thank
good
you,
week.
everyone. Thank you,
guys.
Tiffany.
Bye.
Bye.
Martin, I think you might want to stop the recording.